Hey, this is C&D Channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for UFC Fight Night 45, Cerrone versus Miller, which happens on July 16th. Overall, good card. Even the Fight Pass prelims have Claudia Gadelha fighting. She's one of the top female strawweight fighters. And the prelims, Aljamain Sterling's a good prospect. Duke versus Smith should be fun. Healy versus Tibau is probably going to be a grinder. But you have two grinders at two huge lightweight grinders at it, so it makes you wonder how that fight's going to go. Main card's good. Martins versus White should be a lot of fun. Lineker's fighting. He's always in fun fights. Against a guy he should look good against. I can't say too much about Salas versus Proctor, but Salas is improving. Mafra versus Story. Actually looks pretty fun. Dunham versus Barboza. That should be fireworks. And Cerrone versus Miller. That's gonna be bonkers. Yeah, let's get started. Okay, on the main card we have Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Jim Miller. Jim Miller has a 24-4 record with 1 no contest, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 14 wins by sub. He's 30 years old on a 2-fight win streak, training out of AMA. He is super tough and gritty type of fighter. He's always in the fight. He's a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's good on top. And he's good on the bottom too. If you look at his fight against is it Camões, who's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, it was like he faked a omoplata or like even a go-go plata and went to a straight armbar. Fantastic stuff. Solid stand-up, nothing great, nothing fancy, solid 1-2 combinations and whatnot, but it's good, it's solid. He has a good chin, super resilient, and his wrestling's good too, Donald Cerrone, 23-6 record with 1 no contest, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 15 wins by sub. He's 31 years old on a 3-fight win streak, training out of Jackson, Winklejohn. This should be interesting because it's a 5-round fight. So Cerrone's been in 5-round fights against like Benson Henderson. Who else? Just remember the first Benson Henderson fight for now. One thing about Cerrone, and I can see it happening in this fight, he's a slow starter. He doesn't have the best first rounds. And there are guys like Rafael dos Anjos, for example, that really capitalize upon that. Some other times he'll look great in the first round, like against Evan Dunham, who's also a slow starter. He has a strong chin. He's always pushing forward. Pretty aggressive fighter. He's just got strong Muay Thai. Good strong kicks, especially like his leg kicks. Knocked out Adriano Martins, who I'm pretty high on with a head kick. Also head kicked Mavan Galar before finishing him with punches. His good knees. He has this really nice step-in knee that he uses really well. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, both on top and off his back, is really good. His wrestling's improving too, both offensively and defensively. Tough fight to call because both these guys are pretty well-rounded. I'd say Jim Miller's more well-rounded. I know it sounds kind of odd, but he's I'd say Jim Miller has a better Jiu-Jitsu, whereas Donald Cerrone has a better stand-up. I'd argue Jim Miller has a better wrestling, but I think Cerrone might be able to defend takedowns. And even if he's off his back, I think he can work either back to his feet and he's good at working the submissions off his back. But so is Jim Miller. He's good at working submissions off his back as well. Overall, I can see the fight staying standing for one thing. If it stays standing, I can see Cerrone really get into a groove and work his superior Muay Thai to get the win. Miller's always going to be in it. He'll get some clean hits in there. I think Cerrone, especially if he uses range, especially with his kicks, I'm going to go Cerrone to get the win here. Next fight after that, Edson Barboza fights Evan Dunham. Evan Dunham has a 14-5 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. He's 32 years old on a 2-fight losing streak. Who did he lose to? Was it TJ Grant then Donald Cerrone? It could have been. So he's getting a lot of top guys, and he's losing to guys there's no shame in losing to. He's only won one of his last 4 fights, though, which is not the greatest look. And he's not getting an easy opponent here either. Training out of Extreme Couture. He's a slow starter. He is really bad first rounds. And he's paid for it, too, against Melvin Gillard. Knocked him out in the first round. And Donald Cerrone submitted him in the first round. He does have some good stand-up. He's kind of a brawler, though. His wrestling's solid. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's good. Yeah, both off his back and on top. He's always pushing forward, really aggressive, really resilient. But his stand defense is terrible. It's really bad. This guy gets hit clean a lot. You can go back to like his Sean Shirk fight, where he's like bleeding a gusher and still fighting on against T.J. Grant. He's getting hit clean a lot. Against Cerrone, he got finished. Against Gillard, he got finished with strikes. Against Cerrone, he got like wobbled or dropped. And then he got finished with a triangle choke. Edson Barboza, 13-2 record, 9 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He's 28 years old, training out of Ricardo Almeida's. Frank Yeager trains out of there as well, and I believe Marlon Moraes trains there as well. He has strong kickboxing. Particularly, he's well known for his leg kicks. He's the only fighter in the UFC to win twice by leg kick. And it's the first fighter to win by a spinning wheel kick as well. But, like Junior Dos Santos and arguably Vitor, they had to finish a ground and pound with their spinning wheel kicks. I don't know if Vitor's was necessarily the same, dude. His was more of a back kick type thing. With Barboza, he has good takedown defense. His overall grappling is improving. Both just his stand-up wrestling and his takedown defense is good. His chin has a lot to be desired. The guy's got knocked down by Donald Cerrone in his last fight, and they got choked out. He got knocked out by Danny Castillo, and he got TKO lost by Jamie Varner. So his chin isn't the greatest. Overall, though, I still get, Evan Dunham, he's going to be in his face. He doesn't necessarily have, like, fight-ending power or anything like that. But it could pose problems to Barboza, because Dunham is a pretty high-pressure fighter. However, I'm going to go with Barboza. I think he has superior stand-up. I think he can land clean hits, especially leg kicks on Dunham. I don't think Dunham can take him down. So I got to go with Edson Barboza to win that one. Okay, next fight after that, Leonardo Mafra Teixeira. I think he's just mainly known as Leonardo Mafra, so I'll just call him Mafra. Fights Rick Story. Well, Mafra's coming back from the UFC. I want to say he lost to Thiago Badal Perpetuo, if I'm not mistaken, at middleweight. So they're going to fight at welterweight here. Mafra, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He is on a 5-fight win streak since that loss. And he trains out of Shuto Box. And, yeah, I remember him in Ultimate Fighter Brazil, too. He's a stand-up guy, He's kind of a brawler, even. It's a fun fight with Perpetua, actually. Rick Story, 16-8 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's 29 years old. Trading wins and losses, most recently losing to Kelvin Gastelum. So, with that said, he should be getting the win here. I mean, if he's trading wins and losses, next one should be a win. He's really aggressive, always pushing forward. He's got a good chin. Stand-up's good. It's a bit robotic sometimes, though. He does use body punches, which I like. And his leg kicks are good, too. I really showed his leg kicking game off against... got the guy's name. The guy with the funky style that uses like cartwheel kicks and whatnot. Leg kicked him to death. And he's showing a really good leg kicking him as of late. His offensive wrestling too isn't that bad. His stand-up defense leaves a lot to be desired. He gets hit clean a lot. And his takedown defense is actually really bad. I think he's been taken down by almost every opponent he's fought in the UFC. And that's not an exaggeration too. I'm pretty sure maybe even all of them. I think a lot of that is because he pushes forward so much. He has a really he's really erect in his stance as well, and actually he doesn't bend his knees very much. So I think that leaves him really susceptible to the takedown. Nonetheless, fun fight here. Like I said, I think we should be. It's a good chance we're going to see some fireworks in stand-up. I gotta go with Rick's story here. You know, Mafra's going to be pretty big for the weight class, considering he's fought at middleweight. Rick's Story's a big welterweight, so I don't know if the size difference will be too much. I think Story could utilize his bullying style, eventually wear down Mafra, and get the win. Next fight after that, Joe Proctor fights Justin Salas. Well, Proctor has a 9-2 record, 1 win by TKO, 4 wins by sub. He's 28 years old. He's got some good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. Stand-up's just kind of average. I mean, he did beat Cristiano Marcelo in his last fight, mainly with stand-up. Marcelo's not that great to stand-up anyways. It's just average, you know. He's managed staying power in the UFC, surprisingly. Justin Salas, 12-5 record, 4 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO TKO and 3 losses by sub. He's 32 years old, training out of Grudge. He's a good wrestler, pretty solid wrestler actually, and his stand-up's improving. He most recently knocked out Ben Wall in his last fight. If I'm not mistaken too, I believe he fought Aaron Riley. Showed good movement, in and out, striking. He lost to Thiago Tavares, who's just a way superior grappler. But nonetheless, Salas has been improving, and I'm going to go with him for the win here. I think he should be able to match or be better in the stand-up, and arguably might have the better wrestling as well. So Justin Salas for the win. Next fight after that, John Lineker fights Alptekin Ozkilic. I'll just call him Alp. Lineker has a 23-7 record with 11 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by submission. He's 24 years old. Super aggressive guy. Always pushing forward. He's got a good chin. He has good boxing. Really heavy hands for a kind of 125er, as he has difficulty making 125 consistently. He uses body punches really well, and his takedown defense is good too. Ozkilic, 9-2 record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. 28 years old. He's a good wrestler with good top control. His stand-up's just kind of average though. One thing that really helps Lineker, especially when he does body punches, is it makes guys hard to go for a takedown if you're throwing body punches, because the arm position is kind of down. Also, like, in my opinion, kind of when he has the wrestling to rely on in this fight, it's not inconceivable that he can just take him down and ride up top position. I just don't see it though. The big question mainly is if Lineker can make 125. That's one of the bigger questions. I think Lineker beats him on the feet and defends takedowns. Yeah, I gotta go John Lineker to win that one. And finally, we got for the main card, we got Lucas Martins versus Alex White. This one should be fun. They're kind of identical to each other. Lucas Martins, 14-1 record, 10 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. So he is a finisher. Actually, his 1 loss is by TKO from Edson Barboza. He's only 25 years old, 2-fight win streak, training out of Shuto Box and Macaco Gold Team. He is pretty much a brawler with pretty heavy hands, actually. His grappling is actually improving against in his last fight. I think it's against Junior Hernandez. Rocked Hernandez, took his back, rear naked choke. Stand-up defense is pretty bad. He gets hit clean, gets hit clean a lot. Alex White, 10-0. Undefeated record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. He's 25 years old. He's taking this fight on short notice. I believe it was Jim Ehlers that was supposed to fight Martins. One thing about Alex White, good Muay Thai. Also heavy hands, knocked out jeez, I forgot the guy's name now. Chavez, oh man, knocked out his last opponent. Jeez, totally forgot his name. He's always pushing forward, super aggressive. One problem with him though is his stand-up defense is pretty weak. When I saw him in the regional scene, even in his fight against a guy whose name I forgot, he was getting hit clean in the stand-up because he's just so over-aggressive. And actually, Lucas Martins has that same problem. That's why I think this should be a fun fight. I'm actually going to go with Alex White. Both these guys are interesting prospects, though. You know, still young. Both 25. Both primarily stand-up guys. You know, This one should be a lot of fun, actually. And honestly, it could go Lucas Martins' way also, but I'll go with Alex White. I think he's a bit, even though he's pretty aggressive, similar to Martins, Martins can be something more of a brawler. Whereas Alex White, I think he has a clean-up offensive technique. So, yeah, I'll go with Alex White to win that one. On the prelims, which will be on Fox Sports 1, Pat Healy fights Gleison Tibau. Interesting fight here because they're both notoriously huge for the weight class, and they're both notorious for being grinders. Pat Healy has a 29-19 record with 1 no contest, 6 wins by KO TKO, 15 wins by sub. He has 4 losses by KO TKO and 6 losses by sub. 30 years old on a 3-fight losing streak. Lost to, I remember he lost to Bobby Green and to Jorge Masvidal. Who's the other one he lost to? I think it was someone pretty good. And, forgot who it was. He trains out of Sports Lab. Other guys that train out of Sports Lab would be Mike Pierce, his brother Ryan Healy, a couple others. Sports Lab is kind of coming up. He's big for the weight class. He's a grinder with a good clinch. He's got a good chin on him because a lot of people can't do Healy's style without having a good chin. But he's also very susceptible to getting hit. His stand-up defense isn't very good. He has good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's actually really crafty. He's a good wrestler with good top control. Not a bad scrambler as well. One of his biggest Healy's problems, though, is that he's just kind of a slow fighter. Doesn't have a supersonic shot. He's not a fast puncher. He doesn't move that well. He's a bit plodding. But yeah, he's made it work for himself for sure. Gleison Tibau, 28-10 record, 3 wins by KO TKO, 12 wins by sub. He has 3 losses by KO TKO. He's 30 years old, training out of ATT. He's also huge for 155. A Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's a good wrestler with good top control. Stand-up's actually improving. He did lose to Michael Johnson in his last fight. Michael Johnson is a prospect that's definitely coming up the ranks. Stand-up's looking really good. His cardio, though, is notoriously not that great, especially in the 3rd round. In the first 2 rounds, he can win, and then he loses like the 3rd round, many % of the time. Against Jamie Varner. Okay, wins the first 2 rounds. Slows down noticeably in the 3rd. I mean, that's Gleison Tibau for you. With that said, I have a feeling that Healy is going to have a harder time implementing his game plan against Tibau, who actually has really good takedown defense, than Tibau will have utilizing his game on Healy. I also think Tibau has a better stand-up. So I think Tibau wins the stand-up exchanges. If it hits a clinch, they're both huge for the weight class. Tibau has good takedown defense. He is a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I gotta go with Tibau to win. I just think he can implement his game better than Healy can. Implement his own game. Next fight after that, Jessamyn the Gun Duke fights Leslie the Peacemaker Smith. Duke has a 3-1 record with 1 no contest, 1 win by TKO, 1 win by sub. She's 28 years old, tall for her weight class. She's 5'11". She does have some good stand-up. It can be a bit green at times, though. She does have good knees. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's not too bad. She's good off her back. 1 with armbar against Marsha Allen from her back. 1 with a triangle choke when she fought to get into the house. Duke, though, has pretty notoriously bad stand-up defense. Betchy Coria managed to beat her up pretty good in the stand-up. Duke is training with Ronda Rousey, Marina Shafir, and Shayna Baszler. She's showing more of a judo game also when it comes to her takedowns. Managed to take down Betchy Coria actually with some of her judo tosses. But yeah, her stand-up defense isn't that great. Leslie the Peacemaker Smith, 6-5 record with 1 draw, 3 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by decision. She's 31 years old. She's 5'9", so she's 2 inches shorter than Jessamyn Duke. on a 2-fight losing streak. She lost to Barb Honchak and Sarah Kaufman. Not bad losses. And then the Sarah Kaufman loss too. She took the fight on really short notice. Trains out of Cesar Gracie's. Super high pressure fighter. She's always pushing forward. Super high output. She's kind of like a Diaz brother, but not as clean. Something of a brawler even. Very aggressive. Cardio is really good. She generally maintains her pace pretty well. She's got a good chin on her. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually pretty good too. Even against like Honchak, she's gone for like an omoplata and whatnot. She's not that bad off her back. Stand-up defense needs a lot of work. She also gets hit clean a lot. I gotta go with Leslie Smith to win this one. I think in the Betsy Correa fight, I think, and even like the Raquel Pennington fight in The Ultimate Fighter, Duke has shown to be somewhat susceptible to getting pressured. She doesn't take getting pressured very well, and Smith is a very high pressure fighter. So with that said, with high output, so I'm gonna go with Leslie Smith to win that one. Next fight, Aljamain Sterling fights Hugo Viana. Hugo Wolverine has an 8-1 record, 1 win by KO, 7 wins by decision. He's 31 years old. He has like good stand-up in a sense that what he does is effective. But the problem is he has like 3 moves. I mean, I'm not kidding. He has 3 moves. He has an overhand right, which he spams. He spams an overhand right a lot. And he combines it with the left hook and like a leg kick. I mean, that's it. That's his 3 moves. Seriously. He might show more, but for the most part, those are like the 3 primary moves he uses. His takedown defense is actually really solid, and his counter wrestling is good. He's just good at getting back to his feet when he's taken down. His cardio is not the greatest, though. Even against like Junior Hernandez, is it Ramirez? I think it's Hernandez. He noticeably slowed down in the 3rd round. Sterling, 9-0 undefeated record, 1 win by TKO, 4 wins by sub. He's 24 years old, training out of Cerrone. Pretty highly regarded prospect, actually. He's a good wrestler. His stand-up's solid as well. I'm going with Sterling, but this is not... I don't think it's a great stylistic matchup for Sterling. I think Hugo Viana could actually defend Sterling's takedowns pretty well, actually. And I think if Viana gets taken down, I think he can get back to his feet. Viana could potentially get one of those overhand rights, and he seems to be finding it more and more. Knocked out Ruben Duran with his overhand rights. I'm hoping because Sterling also trains out of Cerrone. I'm hoping that we see some. I'm also going with seeing some improvement and good game planning here. So that's why I'm going to go with Aljamain Sterling to win that one. Next fight after that, Yosdenis Cedeno fights Jerrod Sanders. Cedeno has a 9-3 record, 6 wins by KO, 3 wins by decision. He's 29 years old. Training out of MMA Masters. Others that train out of there would be Luis Palomino, Jessamyn, and Amanda Nunez, among others. He does have some good stand-up, particularly good kicks. Takedown defense isn't that great. And when he fought Ernest Chavez, man, he looked like a fish out of water off his back. Jerrod Sanders, 14-1 record, 2 wins by KO, 6 wins by sub. He's 33 years old on a 12-fight win streak, training out of ATT Oklahoma City. It's his first fight in the UFC. He does have some good wrestling. He is a wrestling All-American and a 2-time national qualifier at Oklahoma City. With that said, I gotta go Jerrod Sanders to win that. If he can just follow the blueprint by Ernest Chavez, take down, get some dominant positions, and keep Cedeno off on his back, I think he can win. And he does have the superior wrestling, at least the credentials, at least, to do that. Okay, on to prelims. Don't know why this is on to prelims. I mean, you have one of the top 5 female strawweights, and possibly could be the next title challenger to whoever wins the Ultimate Fighter 20. Considering also like Justin Salas versus Joe Proctor probably doesn't belong on a main card, and Cedeno versus Sanders could easily be in Fight Pass. I thought they could put this fight at least on FS1. If not, I think it's deserving of the main card over Salas versus Proctor, to be perfectly honest with you. Claudia Gadelha fights Tina Jellybean Lahdemaki. Well, Lahdemaki has a 5-0 undefeated record with 1 TKO, 2 wins by sub. She's 26 years old. She fights out of Poland or Finland or Sweden. Oh man, I forgot. It's her first fight in the UFC. She's got a good cleanse, good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. None of the level of Gadelha though. And 11-0 undefeated record for Gadelha. 2 wins by KO TKO, 6 wins by sub. She's 25 years old. Trains at a Nova União, and she fights like a fighter, a top fighter that comes out of Nova União. It's her first fight in the UFC. She is big for 115. She couldn't be on the Ultimate Fighter because they felt she couldn't make 115 consistently in such a short period of time. She's legitimately large for the weight class. A legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Once we're fighting Invicta against, I believe it's Hamasaki. Great guard passing. Good takedown defense. Her offensive wrestling's not that bad either. It's just that Nova União thing where like this surprisingly good wrestler even if you don't have a wrestling background for MMA. That's the thing. Stand-up's not too bad either. Gotta go with Claudia Gadelha to win that one. Okay, to recap the main card, I got Cerrone beating Jim Miller, Edson Barboza beating Evan Dunham, Rick Story over Leonardo Mafra, Justin Salas over Joe Proctor, John Lineker beating Alptekin Ozkilic, and Alex White over Lucas Martins. On the prelims, I have Gleison Tibau over Pat Healy, Leslie the Peacemaker Smith over Jessamyn the Gun Duke. Ha, that's cool. A Peacemaker's a gun, and Jessamyn's the gun. Ha ha ha. I got Aljamain Sterling over Hugo Viana, and Jerrod Sanders beating Yosdenis Cedeno. On the Fight Pass prelim, I have Claudia Gadelha beating Tina Jellybean Lahdemaki. So that's it for my predictions for UFC Fight Night 45, Cerrone versus Miller. If you have any comments, just leave them below. That's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.